Hello and welcome. Tonight, we'll not leave the creeks of the Niger Delta until the killers of the 17 military personnel are apprehended, the army declares, says no amount of blackmail will deter it from fishing out the culprits. Governor Oborevwori warns traditional rulers not to shield those involved in the killing of the military personnel in Okwama community in Delta State. And the National Economic Council receives memoranda from 16 state governors who have indicated support for the establishment of state police. 20 other states and the FCT yet to make their submissions.
On business news tonight, British multinational bank Standard Chartered forecasts record high demand for crude oil in May amidst supply constraints in the energy markets.
On sports news tonight, Brume and Obiageri Amechi win women's long jump and women's discus throw gold medals, respectively, for Team Nigeria at the African Games.
From Abuja, the nation's capital, federal government moves to combat illegal mining in the country as the Minister of Solid Minerals Development unveils over 2,000 mine marshals in Abuja.
And in international news from London, Russia has staged its largest missile attack in weeks on Kyiv and the surrounding region, injuring at least 17 people and damaging schools, residential buildings and industrial facilities.
The army has vowed that it will not rest until those behind the killing of the 17 military personnel in Okwama Community, Delta State, are fished out. To this end, the Nigerian army is soliciting the assistance of the people of the area with information that will lead to the apprehension of the perpetrators and of their weapons. The General Officer Commanding 6th Division Nigerian Army Port Harcourt, Major General Jamal Abdulsalam, said this when the management of the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, visited him to condole with the Nigerian army over the incident.
On March the 16th, Nigerians woke up to the horrific news of the killing of 17 soldiers which occurred in Okwama Community, Delta State, where they'd gone to restore peace following a communal clash between border communities. Investigations have been launched into the incident and how the soldiers met their untimely death. Notwithstanding, the army is resolute in its determination to apprehend those involved in the killing. The GOC 6th Division, Major General Jamal Abdulsalam, reiterated the Army's stance during a condolence visit by the Executive Board members of the Niger Delta Development Commission, led by the Managing Director, Samuel Lugbuku, to the military formation.
Our mission is to get our weapons that have been handed away by these criminals back and to arrest all those that took part in the gruesome murder of our officers and soldiers. Therefore, we are going to be in creeks until those objectives are met. For us,
the NDDC Managing Director pledges the agency's continued support for the military to sustain peace and development within the Niger Delta, as the NDDC extends aid to the families of the slain officers.
For us and the people of the Niger Delta, I can assure you that we're in solidarity with the Nigerian Army for keeping the peace in the Niger Delta. And at this point, where you're mourning, we thought we also have to mourn with you.
The GLC thanks his visitors for their support and gives assurances that the Army will remain firm, decisive, and professional in its operations.
No harm will come to anybody. We will continue to conduct our operations in a very professional manner. We appeal to communities to assist us with information regarding the location of our weapons and location of these fleeing criminals. Because if you have information on these issues and you give them, they are also an accessory to the act.
A minute's silence is held in honor of the slain soldiers.
Meanwhile, Governor Sheriff Oborevwori of Delta State has cautioned traditional rulers in the state against shielding those involved in the killing of the military personnel in the Okwama community. governor gave the stern warning, while meeting with traditional rulers at the State Traditional Rulers Council Secretariat in Asaba, the Delta State capital. He described the act as barbaric, inhumane, and unacceptable, vowing that the perpetrators of the crime must be found and made to face the law.
Those people who committed that evil act must face the wrath of the Lord. Who killed Shiri, because Delta State is governed till the tenets of the rule of law and human decency. You cannot tolerate that from ourselves. It has never happened in this state before. We lost a lieutenant colonel, 2 majors, 1 captain, and 30 soldiers. We will not allow that to happen in our state. But the question is, it has happened. What do we do? Is to fish out those that we involved. Any kingdom, these are all the people, any kingdom that is hiding there, should know that that kingdom to face themselves. Don't hide anybody, don't shield anybody.
In the meantime, a former state director of the Department of State Services, Mr. Mike Ejiofor, is calling for an independent investigation into the gruesome murder of the 17 military personnel. According to him, an objective inquiry could indict very important personalities on the matter. Mr. Ejiofor was a guest on Channel Television's program Sunrise Daily.
I feel that by now, the federal government or the state government must have set up an investigative panel to look into this matter, because time is running. People are abandoned their communities. No life is. The military has taken over the community, and I just can't understand why the delay in setting up this investigative panel. We need to get to the root of that matter to know exactly what happened. I think many things are not adding up. We're talking of precedents. What happened during OD? Nothing came out of it. We talk of Zakibia, nothing came out of it. And it's now following that same trend that people will go take laws into their hands. 2 wrongs cannot make it right. Like I said when we started, the gruesome murder of those, and looking at mutilating their, we've lost our values, like I said before. I still can't come to terms with that. But the military too, out of emotion, has taken their pound of flesh by raising down the community, even though they say they didn't. Then investigation will prove who raised the community. Let us look at an independent body of inquiry. The federal government or the state government should, at various levels, set up or they harmonize. The state government brings representative, the federal government brings representative, and form a very high-powered, independent investigation that will come out with an objective report of what happened. Because as it is now, people are scampering, influence. Some people that might be indicted in this investigation, because the military, lieutenant colonel, major, 2 majors, cannot on their own just move out on a peacekeeping mission in a community. And the people are not. There's so much to this incident that must be found out.
To legal matters, the arraignment of 4 persons suspected to be responsible for the murder of the traditional ruler of Amanze Obo Autonomous Community in Imo State, Eze Basil Njoku, has been stalled at the Federal High Court, Abuja. This follows a presentation by the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation seeking to take over the case. The trial judge, Justice Binta Nyaku, subsequently adjourned the case till April the 15th. Our correspondent, Emanuela Ekele, reports.
The courtroom is calm as lawyers and those with interest in cases wait patiently for the commencement of the day's proceedings. The trial judge, Justice Binta Nyako, is here to hear the case of 4 suspects who allegedly killed the traditional ruler in Imo State, Eze Basil Njoku. However, the arraignment is stalled as the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation takes over the case from the Nigerian police. The police had arraigned 2 suspects on January 30th for the alleged murder of the traditional ruler. On February 26th, the charges were amended from 3 counts to 5, and 2 more defendants added to the suspects. The defendants are charged with alleged kidnapping, murder, and terrorism. The counsel to the Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. David Kaswe, informed the court that he was taking over the prosecution of the case in line with Section 105, subsection 3 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015 and Section 174 of the 1999 Constitution. He prayed the court to halt the arraignment as they are yet to receive the case file from the police. The defendants did not object to the request.
This is a charge on terrorism. And the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation sent a counsel to take over the charge. And the counsel that came to court said they have written to the Office of the Inspector General of Police to transfer the case file since September last year. And the Office of the Inspector General of Police refused to transfer the case file. And they wrote a reminder in February, and they have not gotten a response.
Subsequently, the trial judge, Justice Binta Nyako, adjourned the case to April 15 for possible arraignment of the 4 suspects. Emanuela Ekele, Channels Television News.
In other stories, the National Economic Council has received memoranda from 16 state governors who have indicated support for the establishment of state police. This was made known in a preliminary report submitted to the NEC at its 140th meeting, held virtually and chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima. Our State House correspondent, Emperor Simon, reports.
For a 4th time under the present administration, the National Economic Council is held virtually.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen,
Vice President Kashim Shettima chairs the meeting, which has in attendance state governors and some ministers, while some senior aides to the Vice President are in his conference room at the presidential villa to take notes. The Vice President calls for unity of purpose in addressing the challenges confronting the nation.
We must remain consistent in implementing the initiatives that alleviate the suffering of our citizens and be accountable in doing so. We must also ensure that interventions we deploy are non-discriminatory and favor all stakeholders, with no part of our communities or nation lagging behind.
The Council received reports of some of its committees, including the one on state policing.
So far, according to the Secretary of the National Economic Council, only 16 states have submitted memorandum. 20 states and the FCT are yet to send a report. But those states that did indicated support for the establishment of state police.
An abridged version of the report of the Committee on Crude Oil Theft Prevention and Control is also presented.
Areas of leakages in the oil industry are identified. Activities in industry, production, flow station, pipeline, and shipment were monitored, and cases of serious infractions were observed.
Meanwhile, the federal government is targeting to empower over 1 million young Nigerians with digital skills.
That IDICE program, as we term it, is worth $617 million. And the important impact that it will have is that it will create about 1.3 million jobs for young people.
The report of the country's account as of March, as presented during the meeting, shows that the excess crude account is about $500,000. The stabilization account is 33.8 billion naira, and natural resources account is 114 billion naira. NEC also received briefing from Governor Abdurrahman Abdulrazak of Kwara State, who is the chairman of the newly inaugurated Committee on Economic Affairs that is saddled with the responsibility of looking into issues of access to economic opportunities, tackling current challenges, reviewing infrastructure's deficit, as well as insecurity. From the Presidential Villa, Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, the president receives a delegation from Meta Platforms Incorporated at the State House, says his administration is sustaining investments in digital technology. Please stay with us. Welcome back. If you just joined us, you're watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Will not leave the creeks of the Niger Delta until the killers of the 17 military personnel are apprehended, the army declares, says no amount of blackmail will deter it from fishing out the culprits. Governor Borewore warns traditional rulers not to shield those involved in the killing of the military personnel in Okwama community. The National Economic Council receives memoranda from 16 state governors who have indicated support for the establishment of state police. 20 other states and the FCT yet to make their submissions. And Russia has staged its largest missile attack in weeks on Kiev and the surrounding region, injuring at least 17 people and damaging schools, residential buildings, and industrial facilities. In other stories, the president says his administration is sustaining investments in digital technology to enhance the sustainability of small businesses and propel Nigeria to become the leader in information and communications technology in Africa. He made this known when he received a delegation from Meta Platforms Incorporated, led by its President of Global Affairs, Sir Nick Clegg, at the State House. Speaking after the meeting, Sir Clegg thanked the President for issuing an executive order that allowed the landing of the Meta-backed deep-sea cable in Nigeria to help small businesses, a position the Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Mr. Bosun Tijani, agrees with.
I've discussed with the Minister and with the President whether it's how to enhance connectivity, the connections. Without the infrastructure, people can't use these technologies, which is why we've invested so much in, by far, the world's most powerful and extensive subsea cable to Africa, with 2 landing points here in Nigeria, which wouldn't have happened without the help of the President and his team. That itself will hopefully come on stream in the first quarter of 2025 and will really enhance the connectivity and resilience of digital infrastructure in Nigeria and beyond. But also, it's not just about cables, it's also about people. You have to make sure that people understand how to use digital tools, how to enhance digital literacy, how to enhance particularly the use of our tools by small businesses. Our business is small business. That is, small businesses, millions of them around the world, and many of them here in Nigeria use our apps and our platform to reach their customers, and that's why we have digital literacy and digital economic programs which have reached hundreds of thousands of people across Nigeria, and we need to continue to do that. But also we need to make it easier for people to earn a living. If they are a creator and they are posting videos and content which people enjoy and consume on Instagram and Facebook, we need to provide them with tools so that they can monetize that, they can earn a living.
And the president was quite clear about supporting businesses like Meta that are investing in infrastructure to deepen our digital economy. They are increasing the resilience of our digital economy by investing in submarine cables. We now need to ensure that those cables are being put to proper use for the benefit of our people.
Meanwhile, the president has placed a temporary ban on all public-funded foreign trips for all federal government officials for 3 months, with effect from April the 1st. The decision was contained in a circular dated March the 12th this year from the State House and addressed to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, for onward circulation to all the ministries, departments and agencies. The presidential directive came after the Federal Executive Council approved the implementation of parts of the 12-year-old Steve Oronsaye report recommending the merger of government agencies and commissions as a move to cut governance cost. Also in January this year, President Bola Tinubu cut down the number of delegations for all federal government official trips within and outside the country. So let's head to the nation's capital, and Gloria Omezoke is standing by to give us the latest from our Abuja studios. Hello, Gloria.
Many thanks, Ayo. We turn attention now to the Ministry of Solid Minerals Development, where the Minister, Mr. Dele Alake, has unveiled 2,200 mine marshals as part of efforts to combat illegal mining in Nigeria. Speaking during a ceremony to unveil the new mining security architecture, the Minister challenged the security operatives drawn from the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps to smoke out illegal miners. He also said that plans are underway to incorporate the Nigerian police force to boost the mining marshals.
Insecurity had bedeviled the minerals sector of this economy, and it had combined with other variables to really shortchange Nigeria in terms of revenue generation or accruable from this sector. So, amongst others, the issue of combating insecurity in this sector became a sine qua non for the success of this minerals sector of Nigeria. So today, I'm happy to receive formally this first batch of that new security architecture for the minerals sector of Nigeria. Today, I have inspected a guard of honor of some of the leaders of the team. The structure is going to be rooted in all the 36 states. So we are going to have 36 or 37 commands of this structure. So there will be a command in every state. So it will be the mines command.
Nigeria's electoral process is far from simple and transparent, and if the country intends to fix this problem, the rights of voters should be exalted over the technicalities of the law. This is according to Governor Caleb Mutwang of Plateau State, who believes that the crisis in the leadership selection process is a major challenge, not just in Nigeria, but in Africa. He was speaking at a colloquium on Nigeria's electoral and judicial reforms in Abuja. Our correspondent, Victoria Longjohn, reports.
Former Vice President Nnamdi Sambo is among several dignitaries that grace this annual colloquium on electoral and judicial reform. Those in attendance include serving and former governors, federal lawmakers, heads of government agencies, and legal experts. Governor Caleb Mutwang of Plateau State delivered the keynote address, and he spoke from his experience during the litigation that trailed his emergence as the winner of the governorship election.
When elections have been contested, won and lost, you are put through a grilling process that is expensive. I call it some bit of emotional terrorism to go through what some of us went through while waiting for the final court to pronounce on our electoral destiny. And having put in over 30 years at the bar, I began to question my knowledge of the law.
The governor's thoughts on electoral reform reverberates in other parts of Africa.
We need to actually have voter education. We need to discuss how do we get service-oriented and service-driven people into offices.
The call to critically examine the nation's electoral laws is also highlighted by a senior advocate of Nigeria and human rights lawyer, Mr. Femi Falana.
Senior lawyer deliberately sabotage the electoral system from many. What is the business of the court in determining who won an election and who didn't win an election? Judges are not suited, if you must know. Judges are not suited to determine winners of elections. How do we reform the system to the extent that the winners of election will be determined by the people, the electorate, and not by judges?
The dialogue aims to sustain conversations that will improve the electoral process in Nigeria.
A sense of sincerity in trying to put together a position for this nation where we will have a free and fair election.
The expectation here is that the recommendations made are expected to engender a more transparent, inclusive and democratic electoral process that will ultimately lead to the emergence of competent leaders that will steer Nigeria towards accelerated development and progress. Victoria Longjan for Channels Television News.
Well, still ahead on the news at 10, Standard Chartered forecasts record high demand for crude oil in May amid supply constraints in energy markets. Well, that's some business news. Join us again. Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. To the education sector, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, has flagged off the rehabilitation of 19 public schools across the 6 area councils of the FCT. The minister is promising that his administration will improve access to quality education in public schools across the territory. He also cautioned top officials of the administration against sabotaging the government of President Bola Tinubu. Our correspondent, Benny Ark, reports.
The Schools Rehabilitation Initiative, which is spearheaded by the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, aims to address the long-standing issue of inadequate facilities and substandard learning environments in the nation's capital. The rehabilitation project, which is starting with the FCT School for the Gifted, Gwagwalada, is poised to uplift communities and empower future generations by providing access to modern facilities and resources.
Education is the cornerstone of any society, the key that unlocks the potential within which child, empowering them to achieve their fullest potential. As we embark on this journey of rehabilitation, we are reaffirming our commitment to ensuring that every child in the FCT has access to quality education.
The whole school project is designed to rehabilitate the entire infrastructure and facilities, including lavatories, hostels, dining, and the provision of furniture and water. The idea is to promote academic excellence and foster student development.
These children, they are special gifts from Almighty to us. They are the leaders of tomorrow. They are the ambassadors of the nation, so they need a conducive and very suitable place for their learning, for them to achieve their dreams.
In January 2024, the FCT administration announced that it was committing 13.1 billion naira to the renovation and rehabilitation of 40 schools under the accelerated whole school rehabilitation approach.
GSSRS.
The FCT minister warns against any plan to sabotage the effort of the administration.
Let me assure the contractors that nobody will be owed. As I came in, before I left the office, I had made sure that their mobilization has been sent to the bank so that you don't need to worry yourself. That has been done this afternoon. I have told the Treasury that woe betide anybody who sabotages the efforts of this present government led by Ahmed Bola Tinubu.
Beyond the education sector, the minister is promising to focus on the rehabilitation of general hospitals across the territory. Benny Ark, Channels Television News.
The president has declared a determination of his administration to tackle and overcome the security and economic challenges confronting the country. The president said this while addressing the president of the Senate, other principal officers and members of the Senate after breaking a fast at the State House. He also thanked the lawmakers for passing the Students' Loan Amendment Bill, even as he said Nigerians will smile again as the revenue of the country improves.
The natural challenge that we face will be over. The economic challenge, we're about turning the corner. Our revenue is improved. And you can see reflected in the subnational. All you have to do is fashion the Congress of the expenditure and manage ourselves much, much better. The light is on at the end of the tunnel, and Nigeria will smile again. I know you share bread without butter. Maybe next time around, we put butter beside your bread. The challenges of insecurity will be over. They can't defeat us. We have to rescue our country.
A Labour Party's presidential candidate in the 2023 election, Mr. Peter Obi, joined Muslim faithful at the Suleja International Market Mosque in Niger State to break the Ramadan fast. Mr. Peter Obi showed his support for the Muslim community, offering prayers for their welfare and success. He underscored the significance of unity and compassion among all individuals.
Today, Christians don't buy bread cheaper. Muslims don't buy bread cheaper. So no religion buys bread cheaper. No religion buys rice cheaper. No religion buys fuel cheaper. When you didn't have water, it affected everybody. And that is why we're saying it must change. Yes. That is why I've been going around visiting. I was in Latvia yesterday, today I'm here, and I'll go on to other areas, doing the same thing, preaching, let's have peace, let's love each other, let's care for each other. Let us work and ensure that the poor people in us become something. We want a society where a child of nobody will be somebody. That's what we want. Show you, community leader, we're not just passing. If we have opportunity, we'll come back. When we were coming here, we saw the Zuma Rock. I told them, I said, how can we have this? And it's not a tourist center. All this place would have been a tourist center.
Well, that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Ayo, for the rest of the news at 10.
Many thanks, Gloria. In the bid to alleviate the hardships faced by residents, the government of Bauchi State has allocated over 2 billion naira for the distribution of palliatives across 20 local government areas. This was announced by Governor Bala Mohammed during the official launch of the 2024 Ramadan Palliative Distribution Program today. He reassured residents that the government is committed to finding a lasting and permanent solution to the challenges they face.
In an effort to mitigate the effect of food inflation, the Bauchi State government will be distributing maize, rice, millet and sugar to residents as Ramadan palliatives. These essential items are meant to ease the burden placed on families during these challenging times.
Your Excellency, sir.
Governor Bala Mohammed arrives at the stadium to formally inaugurate the distribution process.
Before the commencement of any activity,
More than 100,000 bags of the designated food items have been allocated for distribution. The state government has developed a well-planned and fair approach to ensure that every ward and polling unit within the 20 local government areas is reached.
This intervention is coming at a very timely, at a very important time, and it will go a long way in ameliorating the sufferings of the people in the state, which was occasioned by the general economic downturn in the country and across the globe.
Although this has become a moral obligation over time, the 2024 Ramadan palliative in Bauchi is strategically and intentionally expanded by His Excellency like never before.
Governor Mohammed takes to the podium to address the audience, expressing his deep concern for the residents.
It is with deep sense of responsibility and compassion that I address you on the auspicious occasion of the distribution of food items as palliatives for our citizens during these holy months of Ramadan. The rising cost of foodstuffs and inflation have undoubtedly placed a heavy burden on our people, and it is out of genuine concern for their welfare that the Bauchi State government, in collaboration with the federal government, has embarked on this intervention. I must commend the federal government under the leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for swift response to the hardship confronting our nation.
He proceeds to symbolically hand over the food items. This gesture emphasizes the government's dedication to supporting citizens in times of need, especially during a significant religious period like Ramadan. Hajara Aliyu, Channels Television News.
Winners have emerged in the First Bank of Nigeria Win Big promo in Lagos. 1,240 winners got 100,000 Naira each. 60 other winners went home with other cash rewards, while 6 were rewarded with 1 million Naira each. The First Bank says the Win Big promo is its way of rewarding its loyal customers over the years.
It's time for First Bank's Win Big promo.
The 4-month-long First Bank of Nigeria Limited Win Big promo comes to a close in Lagos, with winners emerging from different categories from across the country.
Congrats to Agege Group.
The grand finale, which held at the bank's headquarters, has the bank's management, regulators, as well as winners present to witness the occasion.
Anuken Joan, congratulations.
Those who won certainly met some criteria as explained by the bank's management.
At the onset of the promo, we set out to give 170 million Naira cash rewards to our customers who participated and met the criteria to qualify for the monthly draws. And I am happy to announce that 1,240 customers have been rewarded in fulfillment of our promise.
What you need to do if you're not a customer is to open an account. If you're already a customer of the bank, what you need to do, whether new or old, is then to deposit 5,000 Naira, maintain 5,000 Naira in your account for the period of 30 days.
First Bank says it will not relent in providing quality financial services to Nigerians and will continue its tradition of being a socially responsible bank.
Our customers have been very positive. In fact, they're expecting us to do more. This is indeed the biggest CSR initiative that you can see from any bank in this country.
Apart from the promo, periodically we also organize, sessions, where we engage customers.
Winners of the Win Big promo expressed delight and thanked the bank for the cash given to them.
I was so happy to hear from First Bank that I won. I just opened my app to see that 100,000 have added to my account. So I was like, what happened? Who customer paid to my account? But at last I checked it, it was Win Back promo that they are doing.
I thank First Bank for at least keeping to their promise. As I said earlier during the listing that I'm one of those people that doesn't even believe that those things happen.
A total of 1,240 lucky winners won 100,000 each. Others went home with cash prizes, while 6 persons won 1 million naira each in the First Bank of Nigeria Win Big promo, which lasted for 4 months.
Let's join Melinda Kelami for the latest in the world of business. Melinda.
Many thanks, Ayotunde. Welcome to Business News. UK multinational financial institution Standard Chartered Bank says it expects global oil demand to reach new levels in May due to ongoing geopolitical tensions and supply constraints in the energy market. According to its latest analysis, key factors influencing this projection are stronger than expected demand growth observed in major economies recovering from the impact of geopolitical tensions such as the conflict between Ukraine and Russia, which have raised concerns about potential disruptions to supply. However, global oil prices have pulled back some of their previous gain, pressured by weaker U.S. demand data and reports of a UN draft resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza. The federal government has announced the official inauguration of the Nigeria Digital Identification for Development Project Ecosystem Steering Committee. The inauguration, which was carried out by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Senator George Akume, signifies a key step in its commitment to achieving digital transformation and inclusive development across the country. According to a statement released by the National Identity Management Commission, the team is poised to guide the strategic direction of the Nigeria Digital ID4D project to establish a secure and verifiable digital identity for the country. The government of Uganda says it will soon add the nation's capital, Abuja, to its airline routes as it seeks more business interactions with Nigeria. This was made known today by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs via its official X page. It stated that the agreement was reached when top officials from both countries met to discuss the promotion of trade and commerce between Uganda and Nigeria. To the stock market, which made some rebounds at the close of today's trading session. Willie Bong has the numbers.
Welcome to the Stock Market Report. Finally, some good news in the market this week. The market has recorded its first positive close for the week, and this comes as Access Holdings acquires the National Bank of Kenya. We see that boost in investors' confidence. The all-share index flipped into positive territory after 3 negative sessions. It rose by 0.13%. This positive performance is on gains in Boa Cement. We see that rubbing off on the industrial goods counter. It rose today by 0.42%. The banking stocks also contributed to this. Access Holdings, GTCO, Zenith Bank, UBA, they pushed that counter nearly 1% higher today. Meanwhile, FBN Holdings today fell, and this is despite the banks announcing 5 new directors. Now, looking over at stocks that lost in Wednesday's session, we see Transcorp rebounding today. It was up by 9.96%. It gained 1 naira 35 kobo and made it to the top 3 on the gainers chart. And it's a sea of green on the activity chart. You see that green, that just indicates more money coming to the market, and this time not due to sell-offs. That pretty much wraps it for today's session. We'll keep our fingers crossed on hopes that the market continues this positive trend. And that's the Stock Market Report. This is Will Ibong, and I'm taking a ride with the bull.
That's business news. Many thanks for watching. Back to you, Ayotunde.
Many thanks, Belinda. Here's Simon Pusey with our international news in Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Russia has staged its largest missile attack in weeks on Kyiv and the surrounding region, injuring at least 17 people and damaging schools, residential buildings and industrial facilities. The Ukrainian Air Force said its defences shot down all the inbound missiles that were fired after a 44-day pause in such attacks on the Ukrainian capital. The damage appeared to have been caused by falling debris. City and regional officials said at least 13 people were injured in different parts of Kyiv and 4 more in the surrounding region. An 11-year-old girl was among 4 people taken to hospital. Portugal's president has invited the centre-right politician Luís Montenegro to form a minority government. The Democratic Alliance won snap elections this month but fell short of a winning majority in Parliament. The party rejected working with the far-right Chega party, which won a record number of seats. Portugal, governed by the Socialists since 2015, now has its most fragmented parliament since the end of its dictatorship half a century ago. Nominations for a new Irish leader have opened and will close on Monday, with a winner due to be announced on the 5th of April.
So I am resigning as President and Leader of Fine Gael effective today.
The outgoing Prime Minister Leo Varadkar pledged his unequivocal support to his successor during a Fine Gael parliamentary party meeting. Support is mounting for the Education Minister Simon Harris, who has garnered the support of at least 15 senators and MEPs. The Irish Prime Minister announced his resignation yesterday. Israeli media reports say their English-language government spokesperson Elon Levy has been suspended. The Israeli Prime Minister's office has not given a reason, but there is speculation that it is linked to an online row with the UK Foreign Secretary Lord Cameron. President Joe Biden has announced the strictest regulation on vehicle exhaust emissions ever introduced in the US in a bid to accelerate the auto industry's shift to electric cars. It includes a target for 56% of all new US vehicles to be sold electric by 2032, a huge increase from the current levels. In a concession to car makers, the goal was softened from last year's draft, but the Biden administration says it will still prevent 7 billion tons of carbon dioxide emissions over the next 30 years. That's according to the Environmental Protection Agency. Baseball sensation Shohei Ohtani's longtime interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara, has been fired by the Los Angeles Dodgers after allegations of theft connected to illegal gambling. According to ESPN, at least $4.5 million was transferred from Ohtani's bank account to a bookmaker. Mr. Ohtani is not accused of wrongdoing. The news comes as Ohtani made his regular season debut with the Dodgers. Sports betting is legal in 38 states in America, but remains illegal in California. The social media platform Reddit has priced its initial public offering at the top of its targeted range of $31 to $34, raising $748 million and giving the ailing technology IPO market a much-needed boost. Reddit and its existing shareholders sold 22 million shares at $34 a share, giving Reddit a valuation of about $6.4 billion. The top-end pricing is a vindication of the company's decision to lower its valuation expectations after it was valued at $10 billion in a private fundraising round in 2021. And a UK startup has demonstrated what it hopes will be a solution to the rubbish that's floating around in Earth's orbit, a robotic gripper that can grab old satellites and other space junk from orbit. The Oxfordshire-based company Astroscale wants to send up a sophisticated robot arm to grab hold of the dead hardware. This trash would then be sent back downwards to burn up in the Earth's atmosphere.
Since the start of the space age in 1957, we've had a throwaway culture in space. We've put lots of objects in space, and we've basically not removed them, we've not recycled them or done anything else. So there's 10,000 tons of debris in space. Near 40,000 objects, all floating around in different orbits, and they are causing congestion in orbit. And there are collisions happening. We're looking at getting into orbit with this spacecraft towards the end of 2026 and into 2027. So that's the sort of time frame that we are looking at doing this type of debris removal or refueling type technology.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the channel's studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Simon, and welcome to Sports News. We'll begin with updates from the African Games holding in Ghana, where Team Nigeria this evening clinched 2 more gold medals From the track and field events, defending champions Esibrume won the women's gold medal, jumping 6.92 meters in her first attempt to return the gold she won at the Games in 2019. The other gold medal comes from Biageri Amechi's massive throw of 58.93 meters, which handed her the medal in the women's discus throw final. Meanwhile, the Falconets look set to defend their title in the women's football event as they currently lead Ghana by 1-0. The game is currently in the second half. All right, so at the close of sporting action today, let's see what the medal standings look like for the top 5. Egypt extends their lead on the medal table with having won a total of 174 medals. And Team Nigeria maintains a second position with a total of 94 medals. On third position is South Africa, while Algeria and Tunisia complete the top 5 spot. Meanwhile, Super Eagles midfielder Alex Iwobi and forward Ademola Lookman say the players are set for tomorrow's international friendly against the Black Stars of Ghana in Marrakesh, Morocco. Now, both teams played a goalless draw in their last friendly game played in London in October 2011. The Super Eagles of Nigeria have not beaten the Black Stars of Ghana in an official match since their AFCON group phase encounter in Egypt 18 years ago.
We haven't had much time to reflect, but of course, we want to continue the form we had at AFCON and hopefully push on and make things great again. Of course, it's like another rivalry against one of a nation that's close to us, so we'll give our full 100% to try and get the result we want.
Yeah, no, another good session from us. I think, yeah, we're getting prepared for the game, obviously on Friday, so yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's an opportunity for us to once again show the level that we're at, the level that we've shown in AFCON and the level that's expected of us. So yeah, we're definitely looking forward to it.
And we are looking forward to that encounter tomorrow, Friday. That's Sports News. I'm Kelly. It's back to Ayotunde.
Many thanks, Kelly. And the main news again. The Nigerian army today declared that it will not leave the creeks of the Niger Delta until the killers of 17 military personnel in Okwama, Delta State are apprehended. It added that no amount of blackmail will deter it from fishing out the culprits. Governor Sheriff Oborowori has warned traditional rulers not to shield those involved in the killing of the military personnel in Okwama community. The National Economic Council has received memoranda from 16 state governors who have indicated support for the establishment of state police. 20 other states and the FCT are yet to make their submissions. And that's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm Ayotunde Balogun. You have a good night.